You know how people say twins share everything? Clothes, birthdays, even inside jokes so old they become part of the family lore? Well, that was never me and my twin sister. I'm Lena, though most of my family calls me Lenny in that half-teasing, half-condescending way. My twin? Marissa, or Riss if you're in her good graces. She's the golden child. Always has been. Always will be. And me? I'm the family scapegoat, the convenient punchline, the difficult one. The one who reads too much into things, who takes everything too personally, who's just jealous whenever I notice the glaring favoritism that anyone with 2 eyes and half a brain could see. For most of my life, I thought maybe I was imagining it. But my twins' wedding proved otherwise. It didn't just confirm my suspicions, it broadcast them on a jumbotron in front of 200 people. But let me back up. The first time I realized I wasn't going to be a bridesmaid at Marissa's wedding was via text. It was a gray February morning, and I was sipping burnt office coffee when my phone buzzed. Marissa, hey, just so you know, I'm not having a wedding party. But you can still hang out in the bridal suite while I get ready, smiling face with smiling eyes. First, I just stared at the message, rereading it like maybe I'd missed a word or two. Not having a wedding party? Okay, weird flex, but fine. But letting me sit in the room while she got ready? Like some kind of pet goldfish or unpaid intern. I typed back a short, okay, whatever you want. And that was that. Except it wasn't. Because 2 months later, during a family dinner at my parents' house, my older sister Dana, loud, dramatic, always in the center of attention, let it slip. Oh my god, Riss, I can't believe you actually picked me as maid of honor. I thought you were going to go with Brooke. Brooke is one of our stepsisters. My mother remarried when I was 11, and with her new husband Gerald, Jerry to everyone but me, came 3 stepsisters and 2 stepbrothers. Marissa embraced them instantly. I tolerated them. I froze, fork halfway to my mouth. Wait. Maid of honor. The entire table went still, and then Marissa gave me that guilty little smile she always wears when she's about to do something cruel but wants to play it off as innocent. Oh yeah, she said softly. I didn't want to make a big deal about it. You told me you weren't having a wedding party, I said, voice flat. Well, I didn't want to make it awkward, Lenny. Word. That was her word for cutting me out of every major milestone of her wedding. Word. Our father, Jerry, cleared his throat and launched into some rambling story about his drive home in a snowstorm, probably hoping to steer the conversation away from conflict. He does that a lot. Our mother, Helen, pursed her lips and said, Marissa's allowed to make her own choices. And me? I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Over the next few weeks, the exclusions piled up like bricks in a wall. I wasn't invited to the rehearsal dinner. When the photographer came for family photos, I was told, oh, maybe we'll grab one later with you. Spoiler, they didn't. Even at the bridal shower, I was treated like some extra guest who accidentally got the wrong address. Dana led the games, Brooke handed out favors, and Marissa beamed at everyone except me. I gave her a handmade gift, something I'd spent weeks working on, and she barely glanced at it before setting it aside. The guests noticed. A few leaned over and whispered things like, I thought you two were twins? Why aren't you up there with her? I smiled tightly and said, your guess is as good as mine. By the time the actual wedding day rolled around, I was numb. I showed up in a simple navy dress, hair curled, makeup done, because if there's one thing I refuse to give my family, it's the satisfaction of seeing me look broken. I walked into the bridal suite and sure enough, there was Marissa, surrounded by Dana, Brooke, and Kayla, all in matching rose gold dresses. Lenny, she chirped as if nothing was wrong. So glad you made it. Made it? I wanted to laugh. As if I'd been some distant acquaintance, not the twin who shared a womb with her. I sat quietly in the corner, sipping champagne and watching as they fussed over her. Nobody spoke to me unless it was to ask me to fetch something, a hairpin, a phone charger, another glass of water. At one point, Dana looked at me and said, you're so good at blending in, Lenny. It's like you're not even here. Everyone laughed. Except me. The ceremony was held in a lavish hall draped in white roses and string lights. I took my seat near the middle, sandwiched between 2 distant cousins I barely knew. Marissa floated down the aisle in a mermaid-cut gown, glowing with self-importance. Elliot, her soon-to-be husband, looked at her like she was the sun itself. For a moment, I almost softened. Maybe this day wasn't about me. Maybe I could just sit back and let her have it. But then came the vows. She smiled at Elliot and said, I love the way you treat my sister. Singular. The words hung in the air, sharp as glass. My heart dropped. I glanced around. Multiple heads turned in my direction. And not at me, through me. Like people were trying to reconcile what they just heard with the very obvious fact that I was sitting right there. She has 2 biological sisters and 3 stepsisters. But in that moment, according to Marissa, only Dana existed. Afterward, during cocktail hour, the questions started. Why weren't you a bridesmaid? Did you two have a falling out? Aren't you twins? I smiled my tight smile and repeated, your guess is as good as mine. The reception was its own circus. When our father, Jerry, got up for the father of the bride speech, He opened with a 4-minute monologue about the time he drove to work in a snowstorm, realized halfway there he needed to turn around, pissed his pants in the car and walked into the house to find Marissa asking, "Can you take me to the mall?" That was his favorite memory of his daughter. People laughed, some politely, some genuinely. I sat there in stunned silence, equal parts secondhand embarrassment and grim recognition. That's what parental pride looks like in my family, piss jokes and favoritism. Eventually, he did pull out an actual speech, but the damage was done. The guests were whispering again. And me? I just danced, clapped, smiled. I didn't make a scene. I didn't have to. The scene was already playing out all around me. At one point, I found myself outside under the string lights, passing a joint around with some of Elliot's friends. For once, I felt free, untethered from the performance inside. "Your twins kind of intense," one of them said with a laugh. I blew out a plume of smoke and said, "You have no idea." The truth is, I didn't need to expose anything that night. Marissa did it for me. Every snub, every omission, every cruel little detail she thought she was getting away with, it all added up to a glaring picture that no one could ignore. When guests look back on that wedding, they won't remember the flowers or the food or the music. They'll remember the bride erasing her twin sister in real time. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel crazy. I felt vindicated. Because sometimes the cruelest thing you can do to someone isn't to fight back, it's to let them reveal themselves. And Marissa? She revealed everything. Everything I've been trying to say my whole life, all the favoritism and scapegoating, the gaslighting and minimization. She put it on display for 200 witnesses. I didn't have to say a damn thing. The morning after the wedding, I woke up with sore feet, glitter stuck in my hair, and the faint smell of smoke in my clothes. I hadn't blacked out, I wasn't even drunk. But the night still felt blurry, like I'd been an extra in a play I never auditioned for. I scrolled through my phone. Notifications poured in, texts from cousins, college friends, even a few numbers I didn't recognize. "Hey, was it just me, or was it weird that you weren't in the bridal party? Your sister kinda erased you in her vows? I thought you two were twins? Like identical twins?" I didn't answer. Not yet. Let the questions marinate. I padded into the kitchen of my apartment, barefoot, hair still knotted from dancing. Made coffee. Took the first sip. That's when my phone buzzed again. This time it was Dana. "Dana, so just a heads up, people are talking." Course they were. I typed back, "About what?" "Dana, about you. About Marissa. About the vows. About you not being in any pictures. Just all of it." I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. The urge to snap back, to let years of pent-up resentment spill out, was strong. But instead I typed, "Not my circus, not my monkeys." And I meant it. By noon, the family group chat was buzzing like a hive on fire. Brooke, Marissa looked stunning. Kayla, best night ever. Mom Helen, so proud of you, Riss. You were glowing. Jerry, my little girl is a wife. Then silence. Then, Cousin Andrea, beautiful night, but Lena wasn't in a single picture? Is that a mistake? The chat went dead for a full 10 minutes. Finally, Marissa replied. It was just the way the photographer did it. Nothing personal. Nothing personal. I nearly spit my coffee. Andrea, bless her messy little heart, wasn't done. She's your twin, though? Everyone was asking where she was. It looked weird, NGL. This time, Dana chimed in with a weak attempt to redirect. It was a beautiful wedding, let's not ruin it with negativity. Classic Dana, the self-appointed peacekeeper. Translation, don't make the golden child uncomfortable. I didn't say a word. Silence is louder than anything I could have typed. The gossip didn't stop there. Over the next few days, texts trickled in from extended relatives and even some of Elliot's friends. People who weren't even my people. Hey, sorry if this is awkward, but why weren't you in the bridal party? Thought twins always stood up for each other. I sent the same reply every time. Good question. You'll have to ask the bride. That line became my armor. It wasn't defensive. It wasn't angry. It just bounced the question back where it belonged, at Marissa's feet. And from the silence that followed, I knew it was working. By midweek, I got a call from Marissa herself. Lenny. Her voice was overly bright, like she'd rehearsed it in the mirror. So, how are you? I leaned back on my couch, staring at the ceiling fan. I'm fine. A pause. Then, good. Good. Listen, I just wanted to check in, after the wedding. It was such a blur, wasn't it? I didn't answer right away. Just let the silence stretch. Finally, I said, yeah. A blur? Another pause. So, you're not mad, right? I almost laughed. Not mad? I'd been erased, edited out, treated like a ghost at my own twin's wedding. And she thought the concern was whether or not I was mad. Nope, I said simply. Not mad. Oh, okay. Good. People have been saying things and I don't want you to feel, uncomfortable. There it was. Crack in the facade. She wasn't worried about me. She was worried about what people were saying. Don't worry about me, Marissa. Worry about yourself. And I hung up. The following weekend, I went out for drinks with a few friends who'd been at the wedding. They were buzzing with the kind of gleeful gossip you only get when rich wine and righteous indignation mix. Girl, I swear, I thought I was hallucinating when she said my sister in her vows, one friend said, mimicking Marissa's syrupy tone. Like, hello? Lena is sitting right there. Another chimed in, and the photos? I kept waiting for you to walk up, but nope. It was like you didn't exist. I shrugged. That's kind of the theme of my life with her. They stared at me, wide-eyed, like they'd just been let in on a secret they weren't supposed to know. Damn, one whispered. If she can do that to her twin, I'd hate to see how she treats anyone else. And that, right there, was the seed that would later grow into something much bigger. Because when you make cruelty your wedding theme, people don't forget. Meanwhile, Dana called me again. She always calls when she's nervous, pacing like she's putting out fires. Look, Lenny, I know it seemed bad, but Riss didn't mean anything by it. Weddings are stressful, you know? I snorted. Stress doesn't make someone erase their twin from existence, Dana. She didn't erase you. She literally erased me. Silence. Then, in a smaller voice, okay, maybe she did, but can't you just let it go? For family's sake. There it was again. Family's sake. Which always meant Marissa's sake. No, I said firmly. I don't have to fix what I didn't break. Dana sighed, frustrated. You're impossible sometimes. Better impossible than invisible. And I hung up. In the weeks that followed, cracks spread wider. Elliot's best man posted photos online, beautiful glowing pictures of Marissa and her bridesmaids. Dana was tagged. Brooke was tagged. Kayla was tagged. Even the groom's cousin was tagged. Not me. Comment section lit up. Wait, doesn't she have a twin? Where's Lena? Why wasn't her sister included? First, Marissa tried to ignore it. But then she started replying. Oh, Lena just wanted to sit this one out. She doesn't like being the center of attention. She told me she preferred it this way. Lie after lie after lie. People started messaging me screenshots, asking if it was true. I didn't rant. I didn't post. I didn't write some scathing clapback. I just commented once on one photo, under Marissa's caption about sisters forever. I wrote, interesting definition of forever. And I left it at that. The ripple effect was immediate. 'Cause when someone spends their life trying to erase you, the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to disappear. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't fighting. I wasn't chasing anyone down to explain myself. I was just existing. And suddenly, Marissa's shiny golden child image started to tarnish, all on its own. Not because of me. Because of her. Chapter 2 of this saga belonged to me, sitting back watching gossip swirl like a tornado, then Chapter 3 belonged to Elliot. Up until the wedding, he'd been the picture-perfect groom, doting, attentive, utterly besotted with Marissa. He laughed at her jokes, defended her tantrums, bought her flowers for no reason. He even called her sunshine in front of people without irony. But after the wedding, that's when the shine started to wear off. Started small. 3 weeks after the ceremony, Elliot texted me out of the blue. We'd never really texted before, beyond quick logistics like, hey Lena, can you bring ice? Or the parking lot's full, try the side street. But that night my phone buzzed. Elliot, hey. Random question. Were you supposed to be in the bridal party? I froze, staring at the screen. Me, why do you ask? Elliot, because people keep asking me and honestly, I don't have an answer. I let the dots blink for a while before typing. Me, no. She told me she wasn't having a bridal party. Then she had one. Took him a full 5 minutes to respond. Elliot, wow. That was it. Just one little word. But I knew in my gut it was the start of something big. A week later, I got a call from Dana. Her voice was tight, strained. Okay, so Ellie asked me why you weren't in the bridal party. I didn't know what to say. Maybe because it doesn't make sense? I shot back. Lenny, please. Don't make this worse. Me? I didn't make it worse. Marissa did that all on her own. Dana groaned. He's asking questions now. Do you really want their marriage to start with drama? I laughed so hard I nearly dropped the phone. Dana, their marriage started with drama. I didn't write the script, I'm just sitting in the audience. And I hung up before she could scold me further. The real cracks came when Elliot's family got involved. His mother, a sharp-eyed woman named Margaret, pulled me aside at a family barbecue a month later. I hadn't planned on going, but Elliot's cousin invited me, and I was curious. Lena, darling, Margaret said, lowering her sunglasses. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why weren't you in the wedding party? You're her twin, for heaven's sake. I shrugged. That's a question for Marissa. Margaret studied me for a long time, her lips pursed. Finally, she muttered, interesting. Very interesting. By dessert, she was grilling Marissa in full view of the entire patio. Why wasn't your sister a bridesmaid? She asked, her voice cutting through the chatter. Marissa's laugh was high-pitched, fake. Oh, well, you know Lena, she doesn't like the spotlight. I nearly choked on my lemonade. Elliot's father raised an eyebrow. Really? 'Cause I seem to remember her giving a toast at her own wedding last year. She looked quite comfortable. Yeah, Elliot added quietly. She seemed fine. The air went cold. Marissa's smile faltered. For once, she didn't have a rehearsed answer. She changed the subject to potato salad. But it was too late, the damage was done. Later that night, Elliot showed up at my apartment. I wasn't expecting him. He looked tired, shadows under his eyes, suit jacket slung carelessly over one arm. Can I come in? He asked. I hesitated, then stepped aside. He sat on my couch, ran a hand through his hair, and finally said, I don't get it. I don't get her. Welcome to my world, I muttered. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Lena, if she can do that to you, her twin, her family, then what does that say about me? I didn't answer. He didn't need me to. Truth was sitting there between us, heavy as a stone. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of passive-aggressive texts and thinly veiled tension. Marissa tried to spin everything as a misunderstanding. Marissa, Lenny, people are blowing this out of proportion. Me, I'm not the one talking. Marissa, you're supposed to have my back. Me, you erased me. What back? Meanwhile, Elliot kept circling closer to the truth. At dinners, he watched her carefully. Family gatherings, he asked questions. At one point, I even caught him watching me across the room like he was measuring the gap between us, the twin she cut off and the husband she claimed to adore. Didn't help that Marissa's social media strategy was backfiring spectacularly. She kept posting glossy wedding photos with captions about family love and sisters forever. And every time, the comment section flooded with the same question. Where's Lena? Dana tried to do damage control, of course. She called me again, late at night, whispering like she was part of a spy mission. Lenny, you have to help fix this, she pleaded. Fix what? People are starting to think Marissa is, selfish. I let out a sharp laugh. Starting to think? Dana, she made her vows to my sister while pretending I didn't exist. If that doesn't scream selfish, what does? You don't understand, Dana said, voice strained. Elliot's family is furious. His mom actually yelled at Marissa the other day. Said she'd never seen a bride humiliate her twin like that. Elliot's embarrassed. Good, I said flatly. Dana gasped. Lena. What? He should be embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. Everyone's embarrassed. Except Marissa, apparently. Dana sighed. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I paused. Then I said, I'm not enjoying it. But I am relieved. Because for once, I don't have to explain myself. Everyone else is finally seeing what I've been saying for years. And that was the truth. The real breaking point came at Thanksgiving. It was the first major holiday after the wedding, and my mother insisted we all gather at her house. Table was overcrowded with siblings, step-siblings, partners, kids. The smell of turkey and stuffing filled the air. Halfway through dinner, Elliot put down his fork and said, So, Marissa, do you want to tell them? Or should I? Table went silent. Marissa's face paled. Elliot, not now. Why not now? He pressed. Everyone's here. Perfect chance. Dana shifted nervously. Tell us what? Elliot's gaze swept the table. Tell us why her twin sister wasn't in the wedding. Tell us why she's been lying to everyone. Tell us why she made me stand up there and watch her erase Lena in front of 200 people. My fork clattered against my plate. My chest tightened. Marissa stammered. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, Elliot snapped. And I'm done pretending otherwise. He stood up, grabbed his coat, and looked at me. Lena, can I give you a ride home? The silence was deafening. My mother looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. Dana was white as a sheet. Jerry muttered something about not the time. And Marissa? She sat frozen, tears brimming, lips trembling, like for the first time in her life she wasn't the golden child. I didn't answer Elliot right away. I just looked at Marissa. My twin. My mirror image. My opposite. Then I stood up and said, yeah, let's go. And I walked out, leaving her to drown in the silence she'd created. The morning after the wedding, I woke up to the kind of hangover that was less about alcohol and more about secondhand embarrassment. My head throbbed not from champagne, but from the memories of Dad's pants-pissing monologue and the look on Lydia's face when guests asked her about the missing twin in the photos. I rolled over, grabbed my phone, and saw the flood of texts waiting for me. From Mags, people were talking last night. Like a lot. You handled yourself better than I could have. From Cousin Jenna, Ray, WTF? Why weren't you in the bridal party? Everyone was whispering about it. From a number I didn't recognize. You don't know me, but I was at the wedding last night, friend of Aaron's cousin. Just wanted to say you deserve better. Everyone noticed. I stared at that last one for a long time. Strangers. Complete strangers. And even they picked up on it. By the time Sunday brunch rolled around, the traditional let's all pretend we like each other one more time before we scatter, the gossip had already metastasized. I walked into the hotel banquet room and could feel the eyes on me, the subtle nudges between cousins, the little smirks from stepsisters who'd spent years brushing off my complaints with, "You're just jealous Lydia's the favorite." Funny. Didn't look so favorite now. Aaron sat at the head of the long table, Lydia glowing beside him in her white just-married hoodie. She looked tired, defensive, already prickling at invisible criticism. I slid into a seat at the far end, determined to play my role as the quiet scapegoat. Except I didn't have to say a word. Because halfway through the meal, one of Aaron's aunts leaned forward and asked, in the way only a middle-aged woman with too much mimosa's courage can, "So Ray, tell me, why weren't you in the wedding? I mean, you're twins." Table went silent. Forks hovered midair. Lydia's smile froze like it had been painted on. I set my coffee cup down and said lightly, "Oh, you'd have to ask the bride." "Your guess is as good as mine." The aunt turned expectantly to Lydia. And in that moment, I saw my sister do something I had never seen her do before. She flinched. Aaron shifted uncomfortably. "Yeah, babe," he said carefully. "I thought Ray was going to be up there too. I mean, she was in your wedding party, right, Ray?" I nodded, keeping my tone casual. "Yep." Both Lydia and Mags. It was important to me that both my sisters were beside me. The silence that followed was suffocating. Lydia's face turned the color of a ripe tomato, and then she laughed, a brittle, high-pitched sound. "Well, you know, every bride has her vision. Mine just didn't include extra bridesmaids." But the damage was done. I could feel the air shift. For the first time in years, Lydia wasn't the golden child. She was just a woman who'd humiliated her own twin in public. Later in the lobby, I caught a snippet of Aaron's voice as he argued quietly with her near the elevators. "It's weird, LYD. People are talking. You could have just included her. She's your twin. Do you know how bad that looks?" I didn't catch her response, but the set of his jaw told me enough. A crack had appeared in the golden mirror, and no amount of Lydia's charm could patch it. Over the next few weeks, the fallout snowballed. Photos from the wedding trickled onto social media. Comments were merciless. "Wait, where's your twin? Isn't Ray her sister? Weird. Why wasn't she included?" Each tag was another pebble in Lydia's shoe, and she was limping fast. Mags called me late one night, her voice hushed. "You're not going to believe this." Lydia asked me if I could, quote, "smooth things over with people." She actually wanted me to spin it like you'd chosen not to be a bridesmaid. I laughed so hard I nearly choked. "Oh, so now it's my fault?" Mag sighed. "She's panicking, Ray. Even Aaron's family is questioning her." Aunt Donna told her flat out she embarrassed herself. And Mom's furious, not at her of course, but at the gossip she caused. Of course. Mom would never admit Lydia screwed up. In her eyes, it was always someone else's fault. Usually mine. But this time, no one was buying it. The final nail in the coffin came 2 months later at a family barbecue. Aaron showed up alone. He wandered around the backyard, beer in hand, chatting with cousins, his smile stiff. When I finally cornered him near the grill, I asked casually, "No Lydia today?" He hesitated, then sighed. She said she didn't feel like facing everyone. Too many questions. I nodded slowly. "Guess that happens when you spend your wedding trying to race your own twin." He didn't argue. He didn't defend her. He just looked at me with this tired, resigned expression, like a man who'd realized he'd married a hurricane. And in that moment I knew the golden child wasn't golden anymore. She was crumbling. And for once in my life, I didn't have to do a damn thing. As summer stretched on, the gossip calcified into reputation. Lydia had shown her true colors, and everyone had seen it. Aaron pulled further away. Family members whispered. And I lived. I laughed. I finally breathed. For the first time, I wasn't the scapegoat. I was the witness. The proof. And Lydia? She was the author of her own downfall. By the time autumn crept in, the glossy sheen of Lydia's wedding had worn off like cheap gold plating. The photos that were supposed to be her crown jewel had turned into Exhibit A for family gossip. Every time someone flipped through the album, the question hung in the air like smoke. Where's Ray? Didn't matter that the flowers had been perfect, or that the DJ had people sweating on the dance floor, or that the cake cost more than my monthly rent. The one detail no one could ignore was the twin-shaped hole in every shot. First, Lydia tried to spin it. She posted captions on Instagram like, "Loved having my sisters by my side," conveniently tagging only Mags and one of the stepsisters. When people commented asking about me, she ignored them. When that didn't work, she tried to claim I wanted a chill role. But the problem was, people had been there. They saw me sitting at the cocktail hour, smiling through the whispers. They saw me slip out of frame during photos I wasn't invited into. They heard me respond to every "Why aren't you a bridesmaid?" with "Your guess is as good as mine." Truth had been public, live, and undeniable. No caption could erase that. Cracks in Lydia's marriage started small. Aaron stopped holding her hand in public. He started driving separately to family dinners. He left gatherings early, mumbling excuses about early meetings. I tried not to pay attention. Honestly, I wanted to stay far away from the drama. But staying away wasn't an option. 'Cause Lydia started calling. First it was subtle. "Hey, Ray. I know things were a little weird at the wedding, but can you maybe, tell people it was your choice not to be in the bridal party? Just so they'll stop asking me?" I laughed right into the phone. "So, let me get this straight. You want me to cover for your choices by lying and making myself look like the weirdo?" Again, her voice sharpened. "It's not lying, it's just spinning. You're good with words. Just help me fix this." I hung up. But she didn't stop. A week later, another call. This time her voice was brittle, desperate. "Ray, please. Aaron's family won't let it go. They think I'm cruel. He's been distant. I need you to talk to him. Just tell him you didn't want the spotlight. Say it was your idea. You'll sound convincing." I leaned back in my chair, phone pressed to my ear, and let the silence stretch. Then I said, "Why would I lie for you, Lydia? You humiliated me in front of everyone. And now you want me to play the hero?" Her breath hitched. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. Meanwhile, Aaron started calling me too, but for a very different reason. "Hey, Ray," he said one evening. His voice was heavy, tired. I need to ask. Was this always how she treated you? Like before the wedding?" I swallowed. Truth clawed its way up my throat. "Yeah. Always. I was the family scapegoat. She was the golden child. I learned a long time ago that Lydia's spotlight doesn't have room for me. Or anyone, really." He went quiet. Finally, he muttered, "If she can do that to her twin, what does that mean for me? For our marriage?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. By November, the dam broke. Word spread through the family grapevine that Aaron had spoken to a lawyer. Lydia, in full meltdown mode, showed up at my apartment. I opened the door to find her standing there, makeup smeared, hair wild, clutching a half-empty Starbucks cup like it was a lifeline. "Ray, please," she blurted the second I let her inside. "You have to fix this. You have to tell everyone I love you. That I wanted you there. That this is all a misunderstanding." I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "Why me?" "Because they believe you now," she cried. "You were so calm at the wedding and everyone thinks you're the victim and I can't live like this. Aaron won't even sleep in the same bed anymore. He says he doesn't trust me. You have to help me, Ray. You're my sister." I tilted my head. "Funny. I don't remember being your sister when you told me I could be in the room while you got ready. Or when you erased me from your vows. Or when you let everyone believe I didn't matter. You only remember I'm your sister when you need me to save you." She burst into tears, sinking onto my couch. "I messed up, okay? I don't know. I thought I was protecting something. I thought it would make things easier." "Protecting what?" I demanded. "Your image. Your throne as the golden child." Her sobs filled the room. Please, Ray. Tell them. Tell Aaron. Fix this for me." I stared at her. This was the moment I dreamed of my whole life, the golden child on her knees asking the scapegoat for help. And I realized something. I didn't owe her a damn thing. I stood up. "No, Lydia. I'm not fixing this. You did this. You can live with it." Her face crumpled, rage mixing with despair. "If my marriage ends, it's your fault." I laughed coldly. "If your marriage ends, it's because your husband finally saw the real you. Don't pin that on me." I opened the door. "Get out." She left, mascara streaked down her face, her sobs echoing down the hall. That night, Mags called me. She came to me too. Begging. I told her no. "Ray, she's unraveling. Aaron's serious about leaving." And for the first time in my life, I felt something I never thought I'd feel about Lydia. Pity. Not sympathy, not forgiveness. Just pity. 'Cause she'd spent her whole life building a golden throne on the backs of lies, favoritism, and cruelty. And now it was collapsing under its own weight. And me? I was finally free. Winter rolled in, and with it came the kind of silence that felt more ominous than peaceful. Lydia had gone quiet. No texts, no calls, no social media updates about married bliss. I figured she was licking her wounds, hiding from the family she once commanded like a queen. Then, on a bitter January afternoon, the news dropped. Aaron filed for divorce. It wasn't whispered, it wasn't a rumor. It was an outright announcement. Papers had been served. And this time, Lydia couldn't spin her way out of it. Mags called me first, her voice low and almost guilty. Ray, it's official. He filed. Lydia's losing her mind. She says it's all your fault. Course she did. In Lydia's world, nothing was ever her fault. But when I finally spoke to Aaron a few days later, he made it crystal clear. She treated you like you were disposable, Ray, he said, his tone calm but unyielding. And if she can do that to her twin, what chance did I ever have? I don't want a wife who erases people to make herself look bigger. For the first time, someone outside my head had put words to the truth I'd been screaming my whole life. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't too sensitive. I wasn't jealous. Lydia really was that cruel, and now even her husband had seen it. The final showdown came at Mom and Dad's house one Sunday dinner in February. Lydia showed up late, eyes puffy, hair unkempt, the weight of her unraveling marriage written all over her. She didn't wait for subtlety. The second I walked in, she stood up and said, "Ray, we need to talk. Now." The room went quiet. Forks clinked down. Everyone froze. I crossed my arms. "What is it, Lydia?" Her voice cracked, wobbling between anger and desperation. "You have to tell them. Tell everyone that I love you. That I didn't mean to hurt you. That it was all blown out of proportion. Fix this, Ray. Please. You're my sister. Fix it." I could feel the entire family staring at me, waiting. For years, this had been my role. Clean up Lydia's messes, swallow the pain, make everyone comfortable again. But not this time. I straightened my shoulders. "No. I'm not fixing it. You did this, Lydia. You excluded me. You erased me. You humiliated me. And now you want me to lie so people still see you as the golden child? I won't do it." Her face twisted, desperation giving way to rage. "You're ruining my life." "No," I said, my voice steady. "You ruined your own life. You worked overtime to erase me, and in the process you exposed yourself. You showed everyone exactly who you are." Aaron saw it. His family saw it. Even Dad's bizarre piss-pants speech couldn't distract from the way you tried to erase me. And now? Now you're reaping what you sowed. A stunned silence filled the room. For once, no one jumped in to defend her. Not Mom. Not Dad. Not Mags. No one. Lydia sank into her chair, trembling, eyes darting around the table like she was waiting for someone, anyone, to save her. But no rescue came. And in that moment I felt it, freedom. The weight of years of scapegoating slid off my shoulders. The divorce went through faster than anyone expected. Aaron didn't want money, didn't want drama. He just wanted out. The last I heard, he told mutual friends, if she could betray her twin like that, she could betray anyone. Lydia tried to spin the narrative online, of course. Cryptic posts about fake people and betrayal from within. But it didn't land the way it used to. People weren't buying the act anymore. And me? I built a new life. One where I wasn't defined as the difficult twin or the scapegoat. I cut contact with Lydia completely. No texts. No calls. No family dinners where I had to sit in her shadow. The irony wasn't lost on me. She'd spent her wedding day trying to erase me. But in the end, she was the one erased, from my life, from her marriage, from the pedestal our parents had built for her. And I was still standing. Laughing. Free. So here's to Lydia, my twin, the golden child who turned her own wedding into a case study in favoritism and cruelty. You wanted me gone, but all you did was write your own downfall. And here's to me, the twin who refused to disappear. Cheers and good riddance. And that's how my twin sister tried to erase me from her own wedding, only to erase herself in the end. She lost her husband, her reputation, and the golden pedestal she'd been standing on her whole life. And me? I walked away free, stronger, and finally unshackled from years of favoritism and scapegoating. So tell me, what would you have done if your own twin treated you like you didn't exist? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell because there are plenty more unbelievable family dramas where this came from. Until next time, cheers and good riddance.